Waking in the lands of Hildorian, the race of men quickly fell under the shadow of Morgoth, causing the Atanatari faction to migrate west, eventually settling in Beleriand. With most fracturing into the three houses of the Edain, they allied with the Elves against the First Dark Lord in the War of Great Jewels, fought throughout the First Age, suffering many defeats until their final victory in the War of Wrath, a conflict so devastating it reshaped continents, sinking the lands of Beleriand beneath the sea. As a reward for their contribution, the surviving Edain of the Second Age were blessed by the Maya Eonwe with increased wisdom, longer lifespans, enhanced abilities, and a new homeland upon the island of Elena, raised by the Vala Ulmo in the middle of the Sea of Belegaer. Following the Star of Hope held by the hero Earendil as he flew through the air in a skyship, the Edain were led to Elena, where they established the Kingdom of Numenor under their first king Elros, brother to Elrond, two mighty heroes descended from a powerful bloodline which included elves, men, and a Maya queen. Given their mixed ancestry, the sons of Earendil were allowed to decide their own fate, leading Elrond to become an immortal elf, while Elros sought the life of a mortal man. Though most who populated Numenor descended from the houses of Hador, Beor, and Haladin, they were joined by a contingent of Druidine refugees, a small, primitive people who resembled dwarves but shared kinship with the Edain. Arriving upon Elena, more commonly known as Numenor, the Dunedain found an island shaped like a five-pointed star, with each region possessing its own unique environment, characteristics, and resources. Dividing their realm into 6 provinces, there was Forostar, or the Northlands, 300 miles of harsh winds and largely infertile lands, where they eventually established the mining town Ondosto and the Tower of Sorontil, built as an observatory to gaze upon the stars. Then there were the lands of Andustar, or the Westlands, which apart from the rocky northern coast, were largely fertile lands where they built the port city of Andunie, led by the Lords of Andunie, a noble house of heroes who shared kinship with the royal family. As they were the closest harbor to the undying lands of the West, the elves of Tol Eressëa often visited their city, bringing wondrous gifts to the Numenorians, who were considered friends and allies to the elves, Valar and Maiar. Andustar also hosted the town of Almeida, as well as the smaller port city of Eldalonde, built within the Nisimeldar region, where their famous Malorn trees grew, gifted to the Dunedain by the elves of the West. Next, there was the province of Yarnustar, also called the Southwest Lands, a rich, fertile territory known primarily for its beautiful vineyards, bountiful farmlands, and wide white beaches. Then there was Hjarostar, or the Southeast Lands, home to the many tree plantations whose timber was used to construct Numenorian ships. Between these two provinces, a number of fishing villages arose along the southern shore, the chief of which was the settlement Nindamos. Further north was Orostar, or the Eastlands, a lush territory roughly 200 miles across, featuring sprawling hillsides, known primarily as the granary of the realm. Finally, there was Mitalmar, the inland province at the center of the island, home to grasslands and the great mountain Meneltarma. The most populous province in Numenor, Mitalmar was home to the sheepherders of Emerie and the Kingsland district Arondor, which hosted the capital city Armenelos, where the royal family dwelt in the house of the king. Arondor was also home to the island's largest port city, Romena, where they docked their naval fleet. With only 2 great rivers found upon the island, both flowed from the inland province, with Nunduine moving west towards the sea, while Citadel ran into the south. Establishing an absolute monarchy, the leadership of Numenor was reserved for the descendants of their first king, Elros, to be advised by a council of ruling elite, which included the royal heir and regional lords. While some of their customs and traditions changed and diminished throughout the centuries, their laws of succession initially followed agnatic primogeniture, ensuring that the eldest male relative of the king inherited the royal scepter. Rather than ruling until their deaths, Numenorian kings after Elros gracefully abdicated when reaching an advanced age in favor of their heir. As time went on, two main political parties emerged throughout the island, with the faithful remaining devoted to their god Eru, the Valar, and friendship with the elves, while the Kingsmen were more concerned with loyalty to their own people, dedicated to the ruler and royal family. Known to be tall and fair, many Numenorians could live up to 350 years, while those within the lineage of kings sometimes reached 400. Though they spoke the Menish language Adunaic, Numenorians also practiced Elven Tongues, often keeping their lore and histories in Sindarin, while many of the elite and highly educated learned Quenya, the original language of their immortal allies. The use of this ancient tongue was most visibly expressed through their ruler, as their first king Elros started the tradition of taking a Quenya name, becoming known as Tar Miniatur throughout his reign. Worshipping the creator Eru Iluvatar, Numenorians were a spiritual people who considered their tallest mountain, Meneltarma, as the most revered religious symbol on the island, organizing 3 yearly ceremonies where they gathered to praise their god. Enforcing a strict code of silence upon any who visited the mountain, only the king was allowed to speak and openly give thanks to the creator. While most birds and animals stayed away from Meneltarma, the great eagles of Manwë could often be seen circling its peak, considered the protectors of the sacred site. Amongst their many skills and passions, the Dunedain were great riders and horse breeders, as well as talented smiths, learning to forge weapons and armor from the elves. Receiving many gifts and learning much from their immortal friends, the elves also gave them a seedling from the white tree Celeborn, which was made in the image of Telperion, the silver tree of light which helped illuminate the Undying Lands before the rising of the sun. This seedling grew into the white tree Nimloth, found in the capital Armenelos, which became a symbol of their royal line, with many believing the fate of their ruler and kingdom were tied to its prosperity. Surrounded by a great ocean, the people of Numenor were known as great fishermen, shipbuilders, and sailors, with many departing from their island to explore the seas and other continents, though they respected the ban of the Valar, which forbid them from traveling west to the Undying Lands of Aman, a location reserved exclusively for the immortal races of the world. Therefore, the great sea captains of Numenor sailed north, south, and east, exploring Middle-earth and other lands to eventually establish colonies and a vast maritime empire. Becoming famous throughout the world, renowned by elves, men, dwarves, and all others, the Numenorians earned a great many names, referring to themselves as the Adunaim, while others called them the High Men, Sea Kings, Men of the Sea, Lords of the Sea, and Gohileg. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Thomas the Kinslayer, Delacruz the Freed, Sir Xavier, Defender of the Flame, and Tormus Woods Whisper. If you'd like to help the channel, you can sign up for membership through the YouTube join button, buy merchandise from the store page, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and access the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.